with every dating coach, you could find a logical flaw where it gets a little rocky in some areas. Like shout out to ARC. He say you got to come off as not thirsty, but he also say you got to put sex on the table in the first 5 minutes of the conversation. I asked him that question when I interviewed him.
Mode 1.
And he gave a good answer, the best possible answer. But I still didn't feel satisfied by the answer. But he gave the best possible answer. I can't remember what it was, but I didn't feel satisfied by the answer. A potential contradiction or just something that's just hard to understand. Put it like that. You know, the whole idea of not coming off as thirsty, but letting a woman know you want sex in the first 5 minutes. You know, that's a hard one to grasp. It is. So, I mean, if you could pick apart a lot of what they say and apply logic to it, and that leads me to the point where I always say many aspects of game is not logical, and many aspects of it you can't exactly even teach. So that's why I feel like whenever we try to logically, surgically pick apart game, it's just going to turn into just a weird fight where somebody who may very well just be naturally good at something, a naturally good salesman, who just knows how to just say the right words or and this or that. I mean, they just do that on autopilot, and then somebody who may not do that on autopilot is surgically breaking down what's being said. But the reality is they're talking about weird. When they're talking about game, a lot of times they're talking about stuff that really can't be taught. It's just either in you, you got it, or you don't.
You know, I wasn't expecting to come back this week and upload another video, but here I am. And it's because a young brother in the Black Manosphere said something that you heard in the intro that was irritating, combination of irritating and mildly insulting. Combination of irritating and mildly insulting. And the interesting thing is, I generally like this young brother. I ain't never really had no particular problems with him or beefs with him. I mean, I've had disagreements with certain things he said before, but I ain't never had no beef with him. But yeah, the young brother I'm referring to is named Bernard Riley. You've heard me mention him on this channel before. Bernard Riley's claim to fame with me is that he's interviewed me one-on-one more times than anybody from the Black Manosphere other than O'Shea Duke Jackson. O'Shea Duke Jackson is the number one person who interviewed me the most in the Black Manosphere, particularly in 2017 and 2018. I don't think he interviewed me at all in 2019 or 2020. But yeah, he interviewed me quite a few times one-on-one in 2017 and 2018. So he would be the number one person who's interviewed me the most one-on-one. And Bernard Riley would be number two. Yeah, Bernard Riley would be number two. I think behind him would be Gab Talk Media. He's interviewed me at least twice, one-on-one. I think C Boogie has interviewed me at least twice, one-on-one. When I say one-on-one, I'm not talking about like a time when I jumped on like a live stream and it had a panel of participants and I was just part of the live stream. But as far as a one-on-one interview, yeah, the number one person in the Black Manosphere who's interviewed me the most is O'Shea. Second is Bernard. Bernard has interviewed me 3 times one-on-one. He interviewed me about Mode 1. He interviewed me about my book, The Beta Male Revolution. And he interviewed me about my book, No Free Attention. But yeah, as you heard him say in the intro, and this disappoints me. Bernard, I know you're going to listen to this at some point, man. I was so disappointed in you saying this, what you said. I was very disappointed in you, brother. And what he basically said is, he feels like he was making a point that there was a stretch during his live stream yesterday, which mainly was centered on my fellow dating coach, Lucario. But there was a stretch where he was talking about, he said, I'm slightly paraphrasing, but he said something to the fact that all dating coaches have at least a handful of contradictions in their advice. He basically said, in so many words, he was like, I don't think I've ever ran into a dating coach that didn't have at least a 2 or 3 contradictions in their dating advice. And first he was talking about Lucario. He said Lucario has contradicted himself. He even targeted alpha male strategy. You know, I did a video on alpha male strategies in, what was that? In December of 2018. Yep, December 2018. I actually did a video about the top 5 most blatant contradictions expressed by alpha. Alpha male strategies contradicts himself all the time, man. All the time. Again, I'm going to tell the story for the upteenth time. The biggest contradiction I heard him say on a video, it was a video he did in fall of 2018. He did a video where at one point in the video, he said, never, ever, ever put a woman on a pedestal. He said, never put a woman on a pedestal, which is actually the same advice I give in my book. I say that as far back as my 1999 version of Mo 1. That's in chapter 8 of my 1999 version of Mo 1 and my 2006 version of Mo 1. I say never. What that means to put a woman on, what does it mean to put a woman on a pedestal? Basically, when you're putting a woman on a pedestal, you're treating her like you have to do more to secure her attention and companionship compared to the other women you've pursued. That means you're putting a woman on a pedestal. Like, for example, if there's this one woman you meet and you taking her out to dinner at a 5-star restaurant, say 3 Fridays in a row, but no other woman you've dealt with did you do that same thing, that means you're putting her on a pedestal. That's what it means to put a woman on a pedestal, is when you're treating her far more special than any other woman you've dealt with. And what I basically say is when it comes to casual sex, now it's inevitable that you're going to do that if you look at a woman as a long-term girlfriend or future wife. So let me make that clear. Like my current wife right now, I treated her more special than probably any fuck buddy I've ever had, and even half of my other ex-girlfriends. So, yeah, if you're talking about a woman you look at as girlfriend material or a wife material, that's not totally a detrimental thing to do. Where I have the most criticism when it comes to casual sex, I don't believe in treating any woman more special if I look at her as fuck buddy material. To me, all women are the same when it comes to fuck buddies. Real talk. I don't care how beautiful one woman is, how educated one woman is, how much money one woman has. I don't give a fuck. And this relates to my response to Bernard. When it comes to casual sex, man, I don't give a fuck who you are. I'm treating you the same exact way. I'm treating you the same fucking exact way. Anyway, going back to alpha male strategies, here's what he did in a video, man. Speaking of under the category of contradictions, he said, don't never put a woman on a pedestal. And then roughly about 20 minutes later in that same video, he said, fellas, I'm slightly paraphrasing the word, but this is what he said. He said, fellas, I'm gonna tell y'all, man, you can't treat a woman who's a 8, 9, or a 10 the same way you do a woman that's a 4, 5, or a 6. You just can't do it. He said if a woman's an 8, 9, or 10, man, you got to spend more time with her non-sexually than you would a woman that's a 4, 5, or 6. You got to spend more money on her. You got to take out to dinner more, take out to lunch more. And you just got to do a lot of things with a woman that's an 8, 9, or a 10 that you don't have to do with a woman that's a 4 or 5 or a 6. And I was just sitting there like, wow. And what amazed me more, excuse me, Bert, what amazed me more than his blatant contradiction was the fact that nobody in his chat room or his comment section was calling him out on it. Like, nobody called him out on it. Nobody was saying, damn, AMS, that's a contradiction, bro. But anyway, now let's go back to Bernard. Yeah, so Bernard, that was the main point he was making. He said basically, he basically said, I have yet to run across a dating coach that hasn't had at least 2 or 3 contradictions in their advice. And then, as you heard in the intro clip, he basically said, even the great ARC, he said, like, ARC, I interviewed him once about one of his books. I believe he's talking about Mo 1. And he said, ARC believes in letting women know in the first 5 minutes that you want to be sexually intimate with them. But then at the same time, he said, Mo 1 is not about being thirsty. He said, that's a contradiction. He said, that's a contradiction. He said, now, when I asked ARC about it, he gave me what he felt was a good answer. But he said, I was still unsatisfied by that answer because I felt like it was a contradiction. I think this is going to be your first one, Brother Riley. I can't think of another situation where I felt compelled to give you what I'm about to give you right now. And not only is this for Bernard, this is for every guy in the manosphere, black or worldwide manosphere, that thinks being upfront and straightforwardly honest is synonymous with being thirsty. If you're a guy and you can identify yourself in the chat, in my comment section, before you listen to this video, if you're a guy who feels like being upfront and straightforwardly honest with a woman is directly synonymous with being thirsty, this is for you. Insert dog face here. Man, y'all don't know y'all terminology, man. That's where I'm going to just start off at, man. Y'all are uneducated about y'all terminology. Step number 1, go to thesaurus.com right now. Go to thesaurus, THESAURUS.com right now and put in the word straightforward. And see, when you go to thesaurus.com, it's always going to bring up a word's synonyms. Synonyms and antonyms. Now, 99% of y'all know what a synonym and an antonym is. But for that 1% that don't, a synonym is a word that has a similar meaning or similar definition to the word you're identifying. So when you go to thesaurus.com and you put in, say, the word straightforward, it's going to bring up all the words that have a similar meaning and definition. Antonym is a word that's just the opposite, has an opposite meaning. Like, generous is an antonym to being selfish. Generous is an antonym to being selfish. So it brings up mainly the synonyms of that word, and then secondarily, it brings up the antonyms to that word. Bernard, what he basically exposed about himself, he don't really know what it means to be thirsty. Now, I don't want to rehash past beefs, but if y'all got a good memory, the last time I had to touch on this subject and clarify this was when I had my back and forth beef with Steve Dean Williams and his business colleague, the former pimp, Rosebud Bitterdose. See, that was one of their criticisms of Mo 1, particularly Rosebud. That's what he tried to say. He tried to say that Mo 1 was representative of being thirsty. These motherfuckers don't know what it means to be thirsty, man. Anybody who thinks being upfront and straightforwardly honest is synonymous with being thirsty doesn't really know what thirsty is. To be thirsty means You are a combination of impatient and desperate. Impatient and desperate. That's thirsty. Thirsty is when you're a combination of over anxious, impatient, and desperate for a woman's sexual companionship. That's thirsty. In other words, if I had to give a simple example, thirsty is when you approach a woman with an underlying attitude of, baby, damn you fine, damn you sexy. Baby, tell me, what do I have to do to hook up with you and be intimate with you? Please tell me. I'll do anything. I'll pay your car note. I'll pay your bills for the next month. I'll take you out to a 5-star restaurant 3 weeks in a row. I'll do anything. I'll do anything if you allow me to share your company so that we could be intimate. Damn, baby, I want you bad. I want you real bad. I want your companionship real bad. I'm willing to do anything. Just tell me what it is you need, baby. I'm willing to do anything to hook up with you. That's thirsty. That's a thirsty motherfucker right there. If you're talking to any woman with an underlying attitude like, I'm willing to do anything to hook up with you, you name it, I'll do it. I'm willing to do anything to hook up with you. That's thirsty. Anybody who knows me in real life and has hung around me when I've done my mode 1 approaches know, man, I ain't never been thirsty with a woman in my life, being mode 1, ever. I can't name one time I've ever approached a woman and came across as thirsty. Thirsty has nothing to do with how quickly or how straightforwardly you let a woman know you want to have sex with her. In a nutshell, it has nothing to do with that. You could talk to a woman for 30 minutes, 45 minutes, an hour, and still be thirsty. I've seen guys do that. I've had friends and acquaintances who have done that. I've seen guys talk to women, say, for like 30 minutes, and at the end of the conversation, they was like, oh, damn, baby, you are really fine. Damn, you fine. Like, what I need to do, to get your number. What I need to do to get your number and share your company. What I need to do. You want me to take you out to dinner? I'll do that. You want me to buy you a nice piece of jewelry? I do that. What I need to do to hook up with you. And that was after they talked to him for like 30 minutes. They still was thirsty. So thirsty ain't got nothing to do with how quickly and or how straightforwardly you let a woman know you want to fuck. See, the biggest word that women, I just talked about this on a recent video. Most of the women I've approached in a mode 1 style, the number one adjective that would be attached to my behavior, well, there's a few. Bold would probably be number 1. Bold, right after bold would be cocky. I'm a cocky motherfucker, man. That's what most women have said about me. I just talked about that in my very last video. The very last video I did, I said the 2 most criticisms I've ever got in my life from women, particularly women that I pursued for casual sex, was that I was cocky / egotistical, and number 2, that I was cheap. Cheap / broke. Those are 2 major criticisms I've always gotten from women, particularly women that I pursue for casual sex, is that I was cocky / egotistical. You cannot be cocky and thirsty at the same time. It's literally impossible. You can't be cocky and thirsty at the same time. When I'm on one with women, I would say no less than roughly 3 out of every 5 women that I'm on one with, this is my attitude towards, I'll be like, I know I'm gonna fuck you. I know I am. I am like 99.99999% sure I'm gonna fuck you. I don't talk to them like, hey, can I get your number? And will you please share my company? And what do I have to do? How much money do I have to spend on you in order to share your company? I ain't never talked to a woman like that. I talk to women with a cocky attitude like, bitch, you know you want to share my company. You know you do. You know I'm one of the most handsome motherfuckers you've ever met in your life. You know I'm one of the most persuasively charming, sexiest motherfuckers you met in your life. You know I am. Oh, yeah, y'all might be laughing and thinking like, oh, damn, Allie, that's a little over the top. I'm cocky than a motherfucker with women, particularly when I was in my 20s and 30s. Holy shit, y'all wouldn't have wanted to hang around me. If y'all hate cocky niggas, Y'all wouldn't have wanted to be around me when I was in my 20s and 30s. I was cocky to the motherfucker, man. I would go up to women basically like, I know you want some of this dick. I know you want some of this dick. I dare you to say you don't want some of this dick. I dare you to say you don't want me to fuck you. I would literally say that to women. Starting with the age of roughly like 20, 21, all the way up until my mid to late 30s, man. I was cocky to the motherfucker with women. I have a philosophy called dare a woman to reject you. I would dare women to reject me. I would literally dare women. I would basically be like, I dare you to tell me you ain't interested in me fucking you. And see, if y'all know, if you're a VIP client of mine, you'll know there's a method to that madness. That ain't just random or arbitrary. There's a method to that. See, I ain't gonna go into detail because that'd be giving you too much free game. But see, there's actually an ulterior motive for being that cocky with a woman. Basically, in a nutshell, it puts you in a win-win situation. I ain't gonna go into no more detail than that. It puts you in a win-win situation. You get a win over the women that you do fuck because of your cockiness, and it gives you a win over the women that end up rejecting you. Yes. Even with the women who reject you, it gives you at least an egotistical victory. It gives you a win. Oh, yeah, man. I mean, even in my 40s and 50s, I was cocky with women, but definitely in my 20s and 30s, dude. And I'm telling you, man, again, I hate to always highlight just this one woman, but I guess I highlight her so much because she was a fine motherfucker, number one. And number two, she was a woman who had normally only dealt with high-value men with big money. But the woman, of course, that I always refer to as Sharon, that I dealt with in California, say, Sharon, that was how I hooked her, man. She told me that. She didn't tell me in the very first conversation, but once we started fucking, that's what she told me. She said, the thing that intrigued me about you was your cockiness. Yeah, because that's how I approached her, man. When I first approached her, I basically told her, I said, I know you want me. I said, I know you want to share my company. I said, I know you do. And she was like, oh, really? And why is that? Like you some kind of celebrity or something that I don't know about? Like you a millionaire? I said, I don't need no money to get you. I told her that straight up. I said, I don't need no money to pull you. I've told a lot of women that. I said, I don't need no money to pull you. And this relates to the whole tricking argument and discussion. I've told many, you know who I got that from? Y'all should know where I got that. I admitted on the video where I got that from. The movie Talk Dirty to Me. That poster you see over my right shoulder. That's one of Jack's lines I actually stole. He has a line with that doctor. If you've seen the movie Talk Dirty to Me, the most prominent scene in that movie is at the beginning when he seduces this beautiful blonde physician. And at one point when he's in verbal seduction mode, he says, I bet a lot of guys would pay you big bucks to get in your pants, wouldn't they? Big bucks. And then she doesn't say anything, but she kind of has a facial expression like, yes, of course. And then he pauses, and then he leans close to the ear. He says, I wouldn't pay you shit. I love it. Man, that's literally my single favorite line in that whole movie of Jack talking to women. It's when he says, I bet a lot of guys would pay you big bucks to get in your pants, wouldn't they? Big bucks. Then he pauses, then he says, I wouldn't pay you shit. And I'm going to still fuck you. He said, I wouldn't pay you shit. I used to literally say that. If not that exact line, some close variation of that line. I used to tell women that, like when I was in my 20s, I would say that to women. I would say, I bet a lot of guys who want to hook up with you probably go out of their way to wine and dine you and treat you to lunches and dinners and movies. And they would nod their head like, yeah. And I said, I ain't going to pay shit to fuck you. I ain't going to spend $2 to fuck you. That's what I would tell women. I said, I ain't going to spend $2 to fuck you. And most of the time I didn't. Pretty much every woman I've had casual sex, I didn't spend no money on them before I fucked them. There might be I spent some money on them after I fucked them. There's a few women I've had as fuck buddies that I might have spent a little bit of money on them after I fucked them. But before I fucked them, nah. But I used to tell women that. So my point is, you can't be that cocky and also be labeled as thirsty. Cockiness and thirstiness are like antonyms of each other in a nutshell. I was talking about antonyms earlier. Those are like antonyms of each other. You cannot be cocky and be thirsty. Again, thirsty is when you have the underlying attitude of, I'll do anything to fuck you. I will do anything you want me to do if you allow me to fuck you. That's thirsty. That's called being, in formal terms, that's simply called being desperate. That's called being sexually desperate. Thirsty is just an informal term for being sexually desperate. I ain't never been sexually desperate with no woman, man. I ain't never been sexually desperate with no woman. How quickly and straightforwardly you tell a woman you want to fuck her has nothing to do with being desperate. That's called cutting through the bullshit. That's what that's called. That's called cutting through the bullshit. That's the whole point of Mode 1. See, I cut through the bullshit, man. See, a lot of y'all motherfuckers, man, y'all ain't be engaging in this goofy, trivial, inconsequential, irrelevant, small talk with bitches. That's what betas do. Yeah, I said it. Quote me on it. That's what betas do. Engage in all that bullshit, goofy-ass small talk. What do you need to know from a woman? I'm talking about a woman you want to casually fuck. Again, I'll make exception for women. If you're looking at a woman as long-term girlfriend material or future wife material, it's understandable that you're going to want to have a lengthy conversation with her because you want to find out, in general, you want to find out what about this woman's non-sexual attention and companionship is appealing to me. Because see, anytime you're going to be in a long-term relationship with a woman or a marriage with a woman, you're going to be spending more time with that woman non-sexually than sexually. Like my wife. I spend more time with my wife non-sexually than I do sexually. So obviously, I want to know if we got enough chemistry to get along with each other non-sexually. See, that's the difference between, like, say, a girlfriend type woman, a wife type woman, or even a long-term polyamorous lover type woman versus just a fuck buddy. See, when I'm dealing with a fuck buddy, a woman I look at as just a casual sex lover / fuck buddy, I don't give a fuck about her non-sexual companionship. I don't give a fuck about nothing to do with her conversation skills. Nothing. I don't give a fuck about that shit, man. I don't care about nothing to do with her non-sexually. Other than maybe I want to know that she's not crazy, that she ain't gonna become some kind of stalker or some shit. But beyond that, I don't give a fuck about it. And even with that, man, you ain't gonna be able to identify no stalker type. Was your boy Michael Douglas in the movie Fatal Attraction able to identify that Alex Forrest, played by Glenn Close, was a stalker type in the very first conversation? Fuck no. And that's real. Most women who are stalker types, you ain't gonna know that by the end of your first conversation with them. You ain't gonna know that. So I literally want to know, man, what you guys be talking about. So for you guys who are similar to Bernard, who have an adverse reaction to letting a woman know in the first 5 minutes that you want to fuck them, I want to know, man, what you be talking about with women for the first 5 minutes? That doesn't have anything to do with sex. What you be talking about with women for the first 5 minutes? I'm going to do a test. Where's my stopwatch at? I don't have it in front of me. But I'm going to do a test. I'll use my timer on my smartphone. I'm going to do a test. I think I did this on at least one other video too. No, yeah, I did it. On the previous video, I remember one time I did a 3-minute test. This is going to be a 5-minute test. Because see, a lot of people talk about 5 minutes as if that's like 45 seconds. If you really, truly analyze, man, 5 minutes is a long motherfucking time. I can find out a lot of shit from a woman in 5 minutes. I can find out a lot of shit from a woman in 5. So all y'all who think, man, 5 minutes, that's too quick to let a woman know you want to fuck them. Oh, on the side note, for some of you might say, well, what's with the whole 5 minute thing? Yeah, that's my standard for standard Mode 1. That's one of the differences between Mode 1 Hardcore, Standard Mode 1, and Mode 1.5. When you're being Mode 1 Hardcore, that's when you let a woman know you want to fuck her like within the first 90 seconds or less. That's Mode 1 Hardcore. Mode 1 Hardcore is when you let a woman know you want to fuck them, that you want to engage in sexual relations with them within the first 90 seconds or less of the. It could be as quickly as the first 5 to 10 seconds of the conversation. That's Mode 1 Hardcore. Standard Mode 1, or what I call conventional Mode 1, that's when you take anywhere from 3 to 5 minutes to fill a woman out first. You take anywhere from 3 to 5 minutes to fill a woman out. And then at no later than roughly the 5-minute mark, you let that woman know that ultimately you want to be intimate with her. And then Mode 1.5, I'm even more generous. I allow men, you could talk to a woman for up to 10 minutes. You could talk to a woman for up to 10 minutes before laying your romantic or strictly sexual desires, interests, and intentions on the table. So the most generous and lenient is Mode 1.5. I give you a 10-minute grace period before you lay your romantic or strictly sexual desires, interests, and intentions on the table. Standard Mode 1, you got a 5-minute grace period. Mode 1 Hardcore is when you come out the gate, basically tell a woman, I want to fuck you. You sexy, I want to fuck the shit out of you. And see, that's what most of my critics criticize. Out of 3 versions, the version that gets criticized the most by my haters and critics is Mode 1 Hardcore. A lot of guys are like, man, you shouldn't, that's rude to just go up to a woman and tell her right off the bat you want to fuck her. No, it ain't. What's rude? All rude is going against somebody's social programming. I don't give a fuck about a bitch's social programming. I don't give a fuck about a woman's social programming. I don't give a fuck about most people's social programming. Real talk. So rude, the word rude don't mean shit to me. That don't mean shit to me. Beta males are the ones that want to adhere to the social programming of society. That's the whole purpose of being Mode 1. I don't care about social programming. I don't care about what's considered socially appropriate behavior. All I care about is, are you going to waste my time or not? Are you going to waste my time? Are you down with what I want or not? Period. You remember that whole thing from Heat when Al Pacino told his confidential informant, otherwise known as the CI, he said, today, you wasted my motherfucking time. Don't waste my motherfucking time. That's my Mode 1 mantra. Don't waste my motherfucking time.
I paged your ass all day. I can't stand fucking page.
Man,
You're a speed freak, jacking methamphetamine again.
Oh, man, where's your empathy, brother? It's a substance abuse
Empathy
problem.
was yesterday. Today, you're wasting my motherfucking time. Don't waste my motherfucking time!
So, I'm Currie for the next 5 minutes, man. I'm going to see what I can potentially talk to a woman for 5 minutes without bringing up sex. Hey, how's it going? My name's Alan Roger Currie. What's your name? Linda? Linda Williams? How you doing, Linda Williams? Uh-huh. So, you grew up around here? Huh? Or were you, whoa, you grew up in New Orleans. Okay. Yeah, looking at you, you look kind of Creole. You look kind of Creole. Uh-huh. If you went to school, where'd you go to school? Howard, okay. Howard University. Yeah, I got friends and acquaintances that went to Howard. Okay, you went to Howard and you went to grad school at the University of Michigan. University of Michigan. Okay, that's cool. What'd you study? At Howard and the University of Michigan. Political science undergrad, and you have a law degree from the University of Michigan. Well, that's cool. A lawyer. So you like to argue. You like to debate. I mean, that lets me know you got a feisty side to you. Do a lot of men you've dealt with in the past call you feisty? Or even worse, do they call you argumentative? You say no. Huh? You say not hardly. I don't believe you. That wasn't convincing. I believe you are feisty and argumentative. Okay. So you're a lawyer here in downtown Chicago. What do you specialize in? Uh-huh. Oh, I might need to hire you. You specialize in intellectual property, theft law, and copyright and trademarks? Oh my goodness. I might have to hire you. Seriously, I'm a book author. So as you know, I got copyrighted material. Yeah. So I might have to hire you to be my copyright, trademark, and intellectual property lawyer. That's cool. I assume you're aspiring to make partner at some point. Is that your aspiration or not really? You want to ultimately open up your own firm? Okay. Okay, cool. Cool. You got any siblings? You got any family here in Chicago since you're not from here? Oh, a couple cousins? Uh-huh. Okay. All right, that's good. Well, what you think about Chicago? You know, a lot of women don't like those cold winter weathers here in Chicago. What you think about I know you love the summertime in Chicago, but what you think about the wintertime? You say you don't like it. I got you. Most people don't. Particularly you say you grew up born and raised in New Orleans. Nobody from the South is going to enjoy these cold, bitterly cold winter weathers here in Chicago. So no, I feel you on that. But you said employment opportunity called. You'll get used to it. No, okay, that was a lie. I just lied to you. No, you won't. You won't get used to it. Hey, I grew up in Gary, Indiana, which is right next door to Chicago. And people think if you grew up in cold weather, that you're going to, be accustomed to it and it's not going to bother you. That's bullshit. I hate cold weather. I lived in Los Angeles for 6.5 years. And part of the reason why I lived in LA, other than pursuing a career in the entertainment industry, is because I wanted to get away from the cold weather. Oh, career entertainment industry? I worked at a lot of the television studios, movie studios. Initially, I wanted to be a studio executive, either a television studio executive or a feature film studio executive. Then I switched my sights to screenwriting and filmmaking. Matter of fact, when I was in my 20s, I actually was pursuing an acting career. I even did stand-up comedy for a minute. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So when you're not working hard, what do you like to do? What are some of your favorite extracurricular activities? You like to go skating? Okay. I haven't skated in years, but that's cool. And you like to bowling? Yeah, I know a lot of women like to bowl. Okay. You like to travel? Yes, I feel you on that. I like to travel too. What's the most exotic place you've been traveling? Rome, Italy. I know a few sisters been to Rome. Okay. Yeah. All right. Well, listen here. We need to get together. You need to share my company. Okay, that was roughly 5 minutes. Y'all act like that's a short period of time. That was a long-ass motherfucking conversation, man. I had to think of shit to say in that 5-minute period. Because again, see, the conversation I had with that fictional woman, Linda Williams, see, if I looked at Linda Williams as a fuck buddy, 90 to 99% of the time, I would never have that type of conversation with that woman. Now, if I looked at her as potential girlfriend material, that's the type of conversation I would have with a woman. But for a fuck buddy, man, when I just asked her towards the tail end of that conversation, where's the most exotic place you traveled? See, for a fuck buddy, I don't give a fuck about that shit. I don't give a fuck. That ain't something I give a fuck about. So I would never ask no woman about that shit. I don't give a fuck about that. Even most of the stuff about like her career and stuff. At least half of the women I've had casual sex with, man, I didn't care what they did. That wasn't important to me. Those are usually questions I ask after I've already fucked them at least once. I'll ask those type of things. Like, I can name a number of times I've been in bed with a woman, and after we got finished fucking, I'll go into all that stuff like, hey, so what do you do? You know, and where did you grow up? And all that type of stuff. A lot of the stuff I talked about in that 5-minute conversation, typically, if I look at a woman as casual lover / fuck buddy material, I would ask them all that stuff after I fuck her. But see, my attitude, general attitude is this, and this is what separates mode 1 from mode 2, and definitely from mode 3. My attitude is, let's use that fictional woman, Linda Williams. If she ain't gonna give me no pussy, why should I give a fuck about anything to do with her life? Really, I'm not trying to be funny. Why should I give a fuck about anything to do with her life? Why? Why should I give a fuck about anything to do with her life? Number 2, that type of conversation I just had with the fictional woman for 5 minutes, none of that conversation would give me a definite, clear-cut indication that she wants my dick. See, I want to have a conversation that gives me clarity on if a woman wants my dick or if she don't. And that's why I like to talk about fucking as quickly as possible. See, a woman I have, this is what separates me from conventional PUAs. See, conventional PUAs, I just covered this when I did my response to the Satan Center about rapport building. See, PUAs believe you should build rapport to get a woman to like you and trust you. That's their main objective. They say you should engage in rapport building to get a woman to like you and trust you. Women will engage in a 2-hour conversation with you that's friendly and informative with a motherfucker they have no interest in sucking their dick or fucking. Drops mic. That's real talk. I know, dude, I've had, you know how many women, literally, probably thousands, not hundreds, I've had thousands of women that have told me either after we got finished having physical sex or after we got finished having phone sex. I've had literally thousands of women tell me about times that they engaged in lengthy conversations with guys that they had no interest in dating, no interest in fucking. None. Zero. So what does that tell you? That tells you that friendly conversation don't mean shit. It don't mean shit. It don't mean shit. It don't mean shit. But you beta males won't get that. So yeah, Bernard, you saying that me talking about sex ain't got nothing, number one, again, it ain't got nothing to do with being thirsty, bro. It ain't got nothing to do with being thirsty. It got to do with I don't want a bitch to waste my motherfucking time.
I paged your ass all day. I can't stand fucking page.
man,
You're a speed freak, jacking methamphetamine again.
Oh, man, where's your empathy, brother? It's a substance abuse
Empathy
problem.
was yesterday. Today, you're wasting my motherfucking time. Don't waste my motherfucking time!
Ain't no man on this earth that could say they fucked every woman that they had a 10-minute conversation with. I dare a man to come in my conversation and say he's fucked every single woman that he's had a conversation that lasted 10 minutes or longer. So what's the benefit of a long conversation? What's the benefit of a long conversation? It don't mean shit. It don't mean shit. I'm cocky. I ain't thirsty. I'm cocky. I let bitches know I know you want this dick. I know you want it. If you don't, why you still talking to me then? Why you still sitting next to me? Why you still standing next to me? If you don't want none of my dick, why you talking to me then? I still don't have the balls to be that cocky. I do. And one other thing before I wrap up, you said, I can't remember now. It's in the intro. You said something about a lot of the stuff about game seems weird. That comment threw me off, Bernard. Really, seriously. That comment threw me off. You said a lot of stuff about game seems weird. Then why y'all talking about it on your live stream so much? Now, Bernard, here's why I got to get in. I'm going to go in on you a little bit, bro. And I like you, man, but I'm going to go in on you a little bit. And this ain't won't be the first time. If you remember, I was on your live stream one time, and I expressed this to you directly. I remember specifically, I don't know the exact date, but I don't know, 6, 7, 8 months ago, you did a live stream where you and the other guys on your panel start criticizing the repeated conversations about game. One guy on your panel said, yeah, man, I don't know why we always end up talking about game. I'm tired of talking about game. The Black Manosphere should be about conversations about stuff that's going to genuinely help us improve ourselves career-wise, financially, politically. Fuck all this game talk. And you agreed with him. You agreed with him. You said, yup. Nah, the Black Man, I don't want to misquote you, but you said something to the fact that, yeah, you're right. The Black Manosphere discussion about game should be a low priority. But then guess what happened on that same live stream? Less than a half hour after all you guys agreed that discussion about game was an overly exhausted topic, what did y'all end up talking about for at least another hour? Game. Here's my thing, man. If you ain't a dating coach, you're not a professional pickup artist, relationship expert or something similar, you shouldn't be talking about game, particularly repeatedly. Occasionally, it's inevitable that it might come up. But repeatedly, you shouldn't be talking about game. Here's my simple thing. I'm just be blunt. If ain't nobody offering to pay you money for your dating and relationship advice, you don't need to be talking about game. Real talk. Real fucking talk. If ain't nobody offering to pay you money for your dating and relationship advice, you don't need to be talking about game. Men pay me thousands, not just hundreds. I get paid thousands for my one-on-one face-to-face coaching sessions. I mentioned on a video earlier this year. I once did a 4-day one-on-one face-to-face coaching session with a client that paid me somewhere between $4,000 and $5,000. Are y'all getting paid that type of money? If not, shut the fuck up. That's what you need to do, really. Seriously. You need to shut the fuck up. Because let's be real, man. Here's the two categories of guys that you'll find are always repeatedly talking about game, particularly in the Black Manosphere. I would even say it to a certain degree, even in the White Manosphere, but definitely in the Black. Here are the two groups of guys. I'll tell you straight up, the two groups of guys that like to repeatedly talk about game. That's not a dating coach. That's not a dating coach or a PUA or something similar. Is number one, is guys that are so frustrated with their love life and or sex life, their inability to get a quality girlfriend or their inability to get a high quantity of quality casual sex partners, that they don't believe anybody's dating advice is valid or beneficial. So they have a certain degree of bitterness and resentment. And they want to try to undermine dating coaches. Because their attitude is, man, my love life is fucked up. My casual sex life is fucked up. Ain't none of y'all advice help me. Ain't none of y'all's advice help me. So that's why you want to talk about game dudes repeatedly and shit. And then the other second group of guys that want to talk about game guys and the guys who offer game is guys who feel like they have a decent amount of game themselves. They feel like they have a decent amount of game, but as I just mentioned, they ain't got nobody offering to pay them for it. So they're jealous and envious of the guys who are getting paid. That's the second group of guys. It's guys who are jealous and envious of the guys who are getting paid for their dating and relationship advice. Because their attitude is, well, shit, I got a decent amount of game. How come ain't nobody paying me like $250 or $500 or $750 or $1,000 or more dollars? How come ain't nobody paying me that type of money? Huh? They jealous. I remember when I was a young dating coach, when I wasn't really making that much money off of it, when I was only making like, say, about 30, 40, no more than 50 grand a year off of being a dating coach, wasn't nobody really hating on me. I talked about that one time on O'Shea's, O'Shea did an interview with me. I talked about that one time. When I was making, say, roughly $50,000 a year or less from my dating coaching, I ain't really had that many haters, man. Particularly here in the Black Manosphere. I didn't really have no haters. But once I mentioned in an interview that I was making about 150 grand a year, being a combination of a book author and a dating coach, motherfuckers were like, shit, I ain't know dating coaches made that type of money. Shit, I could be a dating coach myself. Matter of fact, if you examine it, I could name, off the top of my head, I could think of at least a half a dozen guys who are now dating coaches or PUAs or whatever the fuck that started off criticizing dating. Most notably would be Alpha Male Strategies. Alpha Male Strategies started off as a guy who was critical of dating coaches and PUAs, including myself. He was critical. And then next thing you know, he started marketing himself as a dating coach. There's a young brother who copied my shit. Used to go by the name Darius MGTOW. I think now he just goes by Darius M. Same deal. This nigga used to criticize dating coaches and PUAs. He used to harshly criticize them. Now he markets himself as one. And he be trying to steal some of my Mole 1 shit. Little young, unoriginal motherfucker. And the list could go on. I ain't gonna go down the list, but there's a lot of motherfuckers that started off. Some of the guys right now who are criticizing, as they call them, game dudes, here's what it is. Deep down, they want to be a game dude. That's what it really is that they won't publicly admit. They want to be a game dude. They want guys to pay them for their dating and relationship advice. But the problem is they ain't got no worthwhile dating and relationship advice. Because if they did, they would be getting paid. If they did, they would be getting paid. Like me. Drops mic. Boom. And the final thing, and this is definitely when I'm wrapping up. Yeah, but now here's one other thing. Again, this was in the intro. He said, I think there's a lot of things about game that you can't teach. I think there's a lot of things. He said that before. I remember he said that one time when he was interviewing me. So that ain't the first time he said that. One of his one-on-one interviews with me, he actually said that. Because we was talking about my verbal seduction skills and erotic dirty talk skills. Basically, my mouthpiece. And I remember Bernard said something to the effect of, he said, well, ARC, you gotta be honest though, man. You have a natural gift for being verbally smooth and verbally seductive with women. He said, I don't feel like that's something you could teach. You were born with that. I don't feel like that's something you could teach. No, that's not 100% true. That's not 100% false, but it's not 100% true either. See, here's what would be a more valid assertion on Bernard's part, is if he was to say, there's a lot of aspects of game that I don't think you could teach anyone. If he was to say that, that's when I would actually agree with him. If he was to say, hey, there's some aspects of the game I don't think you could teach just anyone who comes to you for that. That's true. I've told my own clients that. Like, again, speaking of my verbal seduction skills and erotic dirty talk skills, there's some clients I've taught them how to talk dirty to women better, how to be more verbally smooth, verbally seductive. So for somebody to say you can't teach that to anybody, that would be a lie. Because I know I have a percentage of clients that I have been able to help them in that area. But I have an equal, if not greater percentage of clients that I haven't been able to help them. You can't teach everything to everybody. That would be a more valid statement. You can't teach everything to everybody. Here's the one thing you can teach to everybody. The one thing that I can teach to everybody is to have a conversation with a woman that allows you to quickly and effectively identify the women who are going to ultimately cause you to waste time and or money. That are going to ultimately cause you to waste time and or money, i.e. manipulative time wasters. I can teach any man that, and I have. And that's why I earn a 6-figure salary. Get it? Got it? Good. Much love and respect to you, Brother Riley.
Yes, sir.
Say it again.
Yes, sir.
Who's the king?
Alan, you're the king.
Say it again.
Alan, you're the king. You're dominating me.
Say it again.
Alan, you're dominating me right now. Mode 1.
Mode 1. Daddy, can I come, please? You're the king.
Say it again.
Oh, king. Oh, you're the fucking king. Yes. Yes. Yes.
You're the king, Alan.
AKA the king of verbal seduction. You know, it's the tone of your voice, how seductive your intonations are, the vibrations that you could just reach out over the phone lines and stroke a woman's breast just by the sound of your voice, how you could make her pussy so wet just by the sound of your voice. That's actually very hot.
So you said my show was what?
I said your show is powerful.
Oh, say it again.
Your show is powerful.
I bet the king would fuck me really good.
Who's the king?
Alan Roger Currie.
Oh, yeah. Who's the king?
Alan Roger Currie. The king.
The king.
The king.
I have to agree with you on the communication piece, because I actually did take a session with Alan Roger Currie, and he gave me a line that I did not think was going to work, and it worked. And I was like, what the fuck?
Oh my God! That guy, man, he's the master. He's the master of the verbal seduction. He got that communication piece down pat.
It really worked. It just simply worked, and I just didn't think it was going to work at all.
Some guys have natural handles. Some guys have a better natural shot, but you can always improve your shot. And sex is damn sure something you can fucking learn. Look, dude, you want to learn how to talk better? I'm hiring Alan Roger Currie to get my dirty talk game on, because it's always been something I want to get better at.
Verbal seduction, man. I'm like, clearly, this guy's the Michael Jordan of seduction. Like, you know, come on now.